Good morning, Doreen Primary School. Just because we've been talking about perspective doesn't mean that we are necessarily talking about realistic artwork. This book in my arms here, A Century of Modern Drawing, from the Museum of Modern Art, New York, is a collection of drawings from an exhibition of modern artworks that show you, there's some really good examples that show you how perspective is just as important and valid in the work of these modern artists in doing abstract as it is to the Renaissance artists. These 8 studies for composition of the cow by an artist named Van Doesburg. And it's interesting that he starts off, his first little study is a cow drawn quite realistically. He's worked out the perspective and he's done his sketch. The second one, he's eliminated some of the shading and changed the position a little bit too, but he's really only done a line drawing here. And then the next one, he's sort of blocking it into parts. So in the back end, the middle end and the fore end, a little indicating the legs with some straight lines. In the fourth study, it's even more block-like and starting to look less cow-like. In the next one, it's still quite cow-like to me, but it even has a bit of movement because of those diagonal lines in the legs. The next image of the cow is very cubist looking, very blocked in 3D blocks here. The next two are really reduced down to very simple lines. You can barely make any sense out of them at all. And if I hadn't told you it was a study of the cow, then you probably wouldn't have made the connection. The next picture is the finished product, the Van Doesburg composition, the cow. And now that you know how he went about eliminating all the realistic details that he had drawn in the first place, you can see the cow quite clearly. You can see its head down on the ground eating grass. You can see its legs and its neck bending down its back. It makes sense. But would you have interpreted this picture as a cow eating grass if I hadn't shown you the sketches first? It's very interesting to me that artists who are adults seem to be striving for the sort of natural simplicity that you see in children's work. And children are striving for the sophisticated realism that they see in adults' work. And once again, this picture by Gross is doing a similar thing. It's reducing the shading and the realistic elements in the drawing and getting back to a basic line drawing, which is very expressive. There's a lot of storytelling going on in this picture. And this image by Fenninger is beautifully, beautifully rendered. And now it's not a complete abstract. The pictures that I've been showing you are not totally abstract, but they're heading towards abstractionism. And lots of modern art falls into different categories, the cubists, the fauvists, the expressionists. But these artists are challenging themselves to see perspective in a different way. Van Gogh hasn't just drawn the corridor in this picture of a hospital. He's actually drawn the feeling that he gets when he's walking down this corridor, and it's not a very happy picture for him. You can feel that. You can feel the tension in the corridor. Well, I'm not going to tell you about these next few drawings. They're getting more and more abstract as we go along, and I think you will probably be able to pick up, now that we've started talking about them, some of the elements in them and get a reasonably good idea what they are about. And certainly helps reading the title of the picture, doesn't it? It gives you a good idea what the artist was thinking. Now this picture I will tell you about. It's on my wall in my kitchen, and it's done by a student of mine from a long time ago, an adult student. And it's a picture of the tall buildings in a city, but it's actually illustrating the power lines and the energy coming from power and it's quite a big social comment about how we live. The artist is actually talking about a feeling more than a building or a city. Now this last one is another work of art done by my sister-in-law, Alita. But what is it about? Well, that's up to you to decide, because she said it was just random. She had a really nice time making these beautiful, delicate, joyful lines and creating a composition. So your task is to create a composition that is as abstract as you can get it to be. Your aim is to turn a composition that you've already done in a realistic way into a composition that's very abstract, but you can still see the meaning in it. Good luck. For this extension activity, you're going to need a piece of paper again and a pencil that gives you some nice black lines as well as some very pale ones. So don't choose a pencil that is too grey or too hard. You want a soft pencil that will give you some lovely blacks. I've actually got a charcoal pencil here that I'm going to use. So divide your page into 8 will do, 8 sections. And in the first section, I'm going to say a word and get you to draw the feeling you get when I say that word. So what we're trying to do here is actually draw feelings rather than just draw a picture. So my first word, here's an example, get you going. It's an easy one, everybody can do this one. I want you to draw angry. Did you get something a little bit similar to me? Some very dark lines in the middle of the area. Random, scribbly, hard, heavy, thick lines. They're usually the lines that you make when you feel angry. All right, another one. This one is joyful. What did you get when you drew joyful? Usually when people draw joyful, their lines are in the center or a little bit higher and they're moving in an upward direction. They're not dark, heavy in the center like the angry lines. They're much more rising and floaty sort of lines. Okay, another one can be depressed. Did you do depressed? You don't have to do the same as me. Don't even look at what I'm doing. Check mine out after you've done yours. Do it very quickly, don't think about it, and just draw the mark. Now, depressed is usually small and intense and in the bottom part of the picture frame. So it doesn't have to be like mine, but it's interesting to notice that most people will have done something down the bottom of the picture frame, and usually a bit of a spot or a smudge or a dark mark. Okay, another one, excited. What did you get for excited? Generally, excited lines are moving up. They're a bit spiky. They're in the top part of the picture frame and a little bit like joyful, leaning in an upwards direction. Another one is lonely. Okay. Lonely lines are often moving downwards. They're often placed in a row, a little bit like a forest and being lost in a forest. They're just often very pushing in on you, giving you a tight feeling. I've got a spiral going up again, like all the positive ones, moving upwards. Next one, calm. the last one I have for you to do, and the last one, fast. Good. So this one was calm and this one was fast. Now I'm not saying that yours all need to look like mine. I'm just saying that when you have a feeling inside you and you draw, often your drawing marks come out really showing this feeling. So it's a bit subconscious. So it's one of the reasons why drawing can make you feel better when you're unhappy, because after you've got into your drawing for a little while, it's like you work through those feelings and they come out on the paper and you can walk away from them. So it's a very nice activity to do. But when you do your abstract picture, your next abstract drawing, I want you to think about the feeling that you have inside when you start your drawing, and I want you to use the appropriate marks so that that feeling comes through in your picture, even if it's a picture of an apple. If you're feeling angry, then your apple picture will be done with very aggressive, dark, scribbly marks, probably heavy in the center of the page. If you're feeling joyful, your apple's going to be done with lots of light little curly marks that are sort of soft and floaty. If you're depressed, your apple might be very low down in the picture frame, very dark and very solid. See what you come up with. This is your next task. Your extension activity task is to draw a picture of an abstract composition, but with a feeling inside you so that you can see if the feeling works its way out through the drawing.